You know how the festivities work. We always have Hall of Fame stuff to talk about. But that's going to start tomorrow, the Hall of Fame. And that's what's going to further bring WrestleMania in closer. Let's just be thankful that all of this is less stressful because Stand and Deliver's already happened. So one less day of work makes all the difference in the world. Anyways, so this is the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026. And it will basically be the night before WrestleMania 42, night 1. Now, it all really started, the seeds were planted back in September of 2025, September 20th, 2025, with our first inductee, but they've been announced in the months leading up to WrestleMania 42, and we've got two individual inductees, one female, one male, one tag team that has been long overdue for an induction, one celebrity who probably has earned somewhat of a place, depending on who you ask, and we have two legacy inductees of guys that I think should have gotten actual individual inductees, but never mind that shit. And we have an immortal moment that you thought this would be sooner, but, well, it's not happening. Well, it didn't happen until now, and I'm willing to bet it only happened because the last remaining person in this match for this immortal moment that is going into the Hall of Fame, passed away unfortunately last year. So, yeah, because the first immortal moment was Austin versus Bret Hart from, what was it, Mania 96? I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, if I could just type the dang thing here. WrestleMania 12, if I remember correctly. No, that's the wrong Mania. That is the wrong one. It was Mania 13. Yeah. But never mind that shit. We're here to talk about this class of 2026. This is not all who's listed, but I assure you there's a lot more. I'm Coffee Lover 239, our resident John Moxley Stan Steven, aka Dean. Hello.
Oh, what up, everyone?
Let's do this. Let's get into this, because this is going to be the most fun thing we do all weekend because, well, let's just save the Mania talk for then. Let's start with our first inductee. Apologies, the image is flat. I could not find a bigger one for this in conjunction with all the other sizes because they decided fuck us on this one, but whatever. Stephanie McMahon is our headline inductee. And I guess you should have seen this one coming because, yeah, Stephanie McMahon. What more can I say? I mean, the $1 billion princess, the daughter of Vince. Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Here's her recognized accolades. Former WWE Chief Brand Officer, Chairwoman, and co-CEO, on-screen authority figure for over 2 decades, including SmackDown GM back in the early 2000s, a one-time WWF Women's Champion, and a two-time Slammy Award winner. What more can I really say about Stephanie McMahon that hasn't already been said before? The daughter of Vince and Linda McMahon, she's a fourth generation wrestling promoter as a member of the McMahon family. She started working for WWE at 13, so this would have been back in 1989, modeling merchandise for catalogs, and McMahon began appearing regularly on air for the then WWF in 1999 as part of a storyline with The Undertaker. Yeah, I remember that. That was when he was doing the Ministry Madness. Ultimately, what happened was is that the Undertaker stalked and abducted Stephanie McMahon at the end of the April Backlash pay-per-view in 1999, which culminated in him almost marrying her in the middle of the ring next night on Raw, before she was rescued by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Say, I wonder if that's the one, hold on, I'm looking up the clip here. If that's the one here. I think this may have been the one where the take me to the son of a bitch happened, actually, where that came from.
my god, the famous
Yep.
quote.
Oh yeah. Oh, oh yeah. That was wild. This basically that happened during the April 19th, 1999 episode of Raw here. During the episode, McMahon was having an interview when some agents showed up to explain they found Midian, who was in the Ministry of Darkness at the time, who was responsible for Stephanie McMahon's kidnapping. And of course, that, how do I put this? That also led to another infamous moment where, when Stephanie was actually kidnapped by Undertaker, well, let me just play it. Where to, Stephanie? Yeah, yeah, that was a wild storyline, and you would not see something like that in this day and age at all. But that was a wild storyline, at least. But at least Stone Cold saved the day here, so yeah. And then after that, she had an on screen relationship with the wrestler, the late Test, which led to a rivalry between him and her older brother Shane. Test defeated Shane in a love her or leave her match. McMahon and Test teamed up for a match on September 20th, 1999, which the couples defeated Jeff Jarrett and Deborah. They were engaged, but during an in ring ceremony, Triple H infamously showed a video that he had drugged McMahon and took her to Las Vegas where they were married in a drive-through ceremony. And McMahon seemed to abhor Triple H at first, but at the inaugural Armageddon in 1999, Triple H defeated Vince in a no-holds-barred match. She ultimately sided with him, and yeah. So McMahon confronted Vince the next night on Raw and revealed a wedding was a planned event, which was a revenge plot against her father for the aforementioned kidnappings. Because if you remember, Vince was the higher power the entire time, so he basically orchestrated his own daughter's kidnapping. And somehow this turned her heel. Don't think about it here. But yeah. McMahon became engaged to Triple H, whom she married both on screen and later in real life, which resulted in the McMahon Helmsley faction storyline, if you will, which was basically starting with the alliance between, well, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Anyways, Triple H held the WWF Championship, and McMahon held the Women's Championship after defeating champion Jacqueline with the help of Tori and D-Generation X on the March 28, 2000 episode of SmackDown. And she defended the title against Lita on SmackDown on June 6th and the 16th. McMahon actually reconciled with her father and brother at WrestleMania 2000 and helped Triple H defend his title against The Rock, leaving Linda McMahon as the only fan favorite in the McMahon family because everyone else were dicks and she was the only one who actually had a spine. And of course, there was also a mid 2000 there was a infamous love triangle storyline with McMahon, Triple H, and Kurt Angle. And it continued at Unforgiven. Triple H defeated Angle with a pedigree following a low blow from McMahon, proving her loyalty to him. McMahon later became Angle's manager and was in his corner when he defeated The Rock at No Mercy for the WWF Championship. But after The Rock performed his rock bottom maneuver on McMahon at No Mercy, Triple H attacked Angle, considering it was his fault McMahon was hurt due to her managing Angle at the time. And then she lost the Women's Championship to Lita because of interference from Angle and Triple H after special referee The Rock performed a spine buster on McMahon. Ultimately, disputes between the McMahons led to Linda McMahon being comatose and wheelchair bound due to the stress of being asked for a divorce by Vince, which took the opportunity to have a public affair with Trish Stratus, which led to all sorts of very disgusting things, including the
Damn.
infamous. Yeah, you know what? No, I don't even wanna. McMahon feuded with
Say it.
Stratus,
Say it.
defeated. No,
Say it.
I'd rather not. Genuinely.
Fine, I'll say it. I'll say
No,
it.
no, don't you
No,
dare.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You son of a bitch. Alright, McMahon feuded with Stratus, defeating her at No Way Out, and over the next few weeks, Vince made it clear he was favoring Stephanie over Stratus, so McMahon would bully and verbally abuse Stratus, which is where all that shit happened. Then at WrestleMania X7, Shane defeated Vince in a street fight. Stratus slapped Vince, chased Stephanie from the ringside, upset with Vince's constant misogynistic treatment of her. Oh, and of course, Vince got low blowed in the McMahons for his troubles by Linda. Oh, man. So, yeah, that was wild. But, yeah, she did hold the WWF Women's Championship once. And technically, during the invasion angle, she was the on screen owner of ECW during the invasion. Wait, what? Yeah. Remember what happened when Shane bought, WCW in storyline wise? Well, Stephanie McMahon revealed that she purchased DCW in story and intended to bankrupt WWF, but the ownership of ECW assets at the time was highly disputed in actuality, along with Shane, who of course was the on screen owner of WCW, and this is what led to the Alliance. Her team, the Alliance, consisting of her brother Shane, former WCW champion Booker T, Rob Van Dam, Kurt Angle for some reason, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was defeated by Team WWF consisting of Undertaker, Kane, Big Show, Chris Jericho, who would have made more sense on the other side, and The Rock at a Survivor Series 5-on-5 winner-take-all elimination match. The night after the Alliance was defeated, Shane and Stephanie were banished from WWF TV. McMahon returned in January 2002 when Triple H made his comeback as a fan favorite, but they began having problems when McMahon was acting like a nagging and clingy wife. And as part of the storyline, the couple divorced after McMahon claimed to be pregnant to trick Triple H into renewing their marital vows. Triple H later discovered she was lying, though, and left her at the
Wait,
altar during the
oh,
renewal
I kind of,
ceremony.
I kind of forgot about that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
Well,
was
again, this was before some of
yeah,
this, like,
I
it's
know.
before what I started.
Right,
I know
she
what Stephanie has done because, she was still there when I was, yeah.
yeah. And so, as a result, after Triple H won the Royal Rumble in 2002, McMahon appointed herself as the special guest referee in a match between Kurt Angle and Triple H at No Way Out for the undisputed WWF Championship shot. Though Angle won due to McMahon's biased officiating, Triple H defeated him the next night to regain his shot. McMahon aligned herself with Chris Jericho. Despite interference by McMahon, Jericho lost to Triple H at Mania X8 on March 17th. On the March 25th episode of Raw, Jericho and McMahon lost to Triple H in a triple threat match for the undisputed, what was it? I'm trying to read it here. Hold on, I'm getting too much stuff. Where was I? So, yeah. So, Jericho and McMahon lost to Triple H in a triple threat match on the March 25th, 2002 episode of Raw for the Undisputed Championship, with the stipulation that if McMahon was pinned, she would be forced to leave WWF. She came within a 1 count of becoming the first female WWE champion in a pin on Jericho, but was pinned by Triple H. Then she came back on July 18th, 2002 as the general manager of SmackDown to when it was now WWE. In contrast to her McMahon Helmsley era villain character, she was a fan favorite as she began to favor the fan favorite wrestlers and feuded with Raw general manager Eric Bischoff. On the October 31st, 2002 episode of SmackDown, McMahon and Bischoff shared a kiss at a Halloween party, while McMahon was dressed as a witch and Bischoff was disguised as her father underneath a mask. McMahon was given credit for the return of the U.S. Championship and for the creation of the Tag Team Championship, and credited with signing Hulk Hogan back to SmackDown, which caused friction between herself and her father. And we all know what that led to. In summer of 2003, Vince McMahon began to resent McMahon's attempts to stop him from pursuing an affair with Sable. In a controversial segment of SmackDown, John Cena requested Stephanie rip Sable's top off and that he be allowed to slap Stephanie's buttocks. She agreed to it, and he slapped her buttocks, after which she went backstage, fought Sable, ripped her top off, exposing her breast on air. Jeez, ruthless aggression much? Ultimately, this culminated in the first ever father-daughter I Quit match at No Mercy. McMahon was accompanied in the match by her mother, CEO of WWE, Linda McMahon, and Sable accompanied Vince. Ultimately, Linda at ringside threw in a towel on her behalf because Vince did not release a choke he had on her with a lead pipe. And as a result, Stephanie was forced to step down as the general manager of SmackDown. The storyline
Wait,
was
wait, Stephanie was the GM of SmackDown. I thought it was Paul Heyman. Oh shoot!
no, like not at that point. Well, Paul Heyman, I believe, was shortly after here. Like I believe when the brand split initially happened and that was all sorted out, that's when Stephanie was the GM of SmackDown. And of course, Bischoff was the GM of Raw. Paul Heyman's GM term, I believe, didn't come until after Stephanie McMahon had to step down. She was written out because she was actually marrying Triple H for real that week. So the storyline
What
was written to.
what year are we in?
We're in 2003. Well,
Oh,
initially, this is it. But then she was off for all of 2004 and returned as a villainess once again on the October 3rd, 2005 for Raw Homecoming on USA. Ah, I remember. Yeah, she confronted Stone Cold and received a stunner. And of course, she infamously slapped him after he's like, maybe you'd like to give old Stone Cold a kiss. Boom! I think not, said JR on commentary. And Stone Cold's like, I wish you hadn't done that. But then again, I'm kind of glad you did. Boom! He stunned every McMahon that night. On October 10th, 2005, she, along with her father, and in a surprise twist, her mother, fired Raw announcer Jim Ross. Oh, God. Yeah, the less said about how the McMahons treated Jim Ross, the better. A visibly pregnant McMahon returned on the March 6, 2006 episode of Raw, approaching Shawn Michaels backstage and claimed to have abdominal pains. When Michaels left to get her some water, McMahon pulled out a bottle out of her brassiere and poured it into Michaels' water bottle. It caused him to become groggy during his match against Shane later that night, and he lost. She was also at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony in 2006 and in a backstage vignette with her immediate family at WrestleMania 22. She returned during a backstage segment in April 2007 at WrestleMania 23, visiting her father in the before his Battle of the Billionaires match. After her father returned to Raw after faking his own death, McMahon revealed that her father had an illegitimate child who was among the WWE roster, and to hell with that, that never happened. Whoosh. And on the Raw's 15th year anniversary episode, she appeared alongside Shane in a segment involving her husband, Triple H, and she kissed him to humiliate her father on Raw. Okay. Then, after the severe injuries sustained by Vince on the June 23rd 3-hour edition of Raw, this was 2008, I believe, Shane appeared to request Raw superstars stand together during what was a turbulent time. Shane's plea was ignored, and for the next 2 weeks, McMahon and Shane urged the superstars to show solidarity. The following week, Shane announced Mike Adamle as the new Raw general manager, and the less said about that shit, the better. So once Adamle was out of there, McMahon took charge of the brand and reignited her feud by having altercations with Chris Jericho in the following weeks, which involved her firing him, though he was later reinstated. After Vince returned, the family began a feud with Randy Orton, who began the storyline by punting Vince in the head. After a few weeks of feuding, Orton and his alliance, the Legacy, punted Shane in the head and performed an RKO on McMahon. Following the attack, who was chased out of the ring again by Triple H. Yeah, we don't know. The rivalry between Orton, the Legacy, and the McMahons heated up when Orton attacked and kissed Stephanie. Triple H and the Legacy's rivalry continued at WrestleMania
fun fact.
25.
Fun fact: that video of Randy punting Stephanie McMahon is the most liked YouTube video of all time.
From
FYI. Yeah.
WWE.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
That video is a great video to watch. Still holds up.
Right. And anyways, Ultimately, at WrestleMania 25, Triple H defended the WWE Championship against Orton in a very underwhelming match.
Very bad match. Bad
It
match.
should not have followed Michaels and Taker. The less said about that,
The build was great. The build
yeah,
was
but the
great,
match
but
was underwhelming. That should not have been the main event. I'll just put it like that. In the following month, Orton won the championship at Backlash in 2009, but after Backlash, McMahon left Raw and took a hiatus from WWE television. Oy. Let's see. She did make some sporadic appearances from 2010 to 2013, including November 1st, 2010. It was in a pre-taped statement. We had the whole "it was a dream" cliche when Vince awoke from a coma after his doctor, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., who was doing work legitimately at the time, informed him that his wife Linda had invested millions in her campaign for a Senate seat. Vince's heart rate elevated as Prinze informed him of what was wrong with WWE since he went into a coma. After beginning to feel better, Vince realized he had a serious case of the runs, and when he walked to the bathroom, his backside was covered by campaign signs. McMahon awoke from the dream and asked if her husband if Vince was still in a coma, to which Triple H replied, "Yeah, he's in a coma. I'm pretty sure he's brain dead." McMahon responded
oh
by
my
saying,
god.
"Thank God," and then laid back down. Once
Well,
again,
let me tell you,
I
brother.
know. And at the WrestleMania 28 press conference, she was a guest speaker. Several months later, she appeared in a backstage segment at SummerSlam to wish CM Punk luck in his match, but Punk
Oh my god.
declined to shake her hand, saying, "I would, but I know where
But
that hand's been."
I'm like, this is the time where I know what's happening. Like, this is where I started this.
Oh, yeah, Dean, and we're gonna get to the other bad shit here, or so we think. The following night, Raw, McMahon appeared backstage with Punk and threatened him. In the end, people always get what they deserve. On July 23rd, 2012, on Raw 1000, McMahon made an appearance and slapped Paul Heyman to convince him to accept a match between Brock Lesnar and Triple H at SummerSlam. On April 6, 2013, McMahon inducted former on-screen rival Trish Stratus into the WWE Hall of Fame. On June 3rd, 2013, McMahon made an appearance to reveal her decision to not allow Triple H to compete that night. June
Oh wait,
7th,
didn't he had like a he was facing Chris Axel, I believe.
I
Is it
don't
that thing?
I don't remember, but let's keep going. June
Oh,
17th episode of Raw, McMahon confronted New Divas champion AJ Lee. July 8th episode, all in 2013, McMahon fired Vicky Guerrero from the position of Raw managing supervisor when the universe voted failed during her great job Guerrero's job evaluation. Oh God, help us now. And then the Authority storyline happened. After making sporadic appearances for several years, McMahon appeared regularly on Raw in 2008 as or we already did that. She returned to regular on-air appearances in 2013 under the gimmick of an unctuous or whatever, judgmental, bullying owner along with on-screen chief operating officer Triple H. As a power couple, they formed the Authority, making shady decrees that stated were what's best for business and indulged in public displays of affection. Yeah, the less said about all that, the better. I don't even want to. That was a. If I had still stuck around to the point, the Authority storyline would have absolutely threw me out. I thought the Death Rider
okay.
shit was bad.
I,
This is where it
I,
all started.
I mean, it helped with Brian won the world title or not. I think.
Yeah, but at the same time, they didn't know when to quit. Any important highlights? Well, let's see. Turning heel by basically saying Brian wasn't suitable to be the face of the company, having to give in to Yeselmania here, and the Occupy Raw shit. Let's see. She faced Brie Bella here, and well, at SummerSlam, or was it SummerSlam, or was it a Bella? I can't. Well, I know she was
Yeah,
involved in that
coffee,
shit. Oh yeah, it was Brie Bella and Stephanie.
coffee. It's not called SummerSlam. It's called
Yeah, we're
SummerSlam.
not there yet. Yeah, not to mention Nikki turned on Brie, which was blah. Um, if Team if God, it was a mess. Let's see. It still dragged on. Ultimately, eventually, Shane wanted to come back and get control and everything. And, well, yeah. Fortunately, the Authority was eventually disbanded after WrestleMania 32, when Mr. McMahon announced Stephanie and Shane would run Raw together on a permanent basis. So she became the commissioner of the brand, appointed McFoley as general manager, but they could still not get out of their stupid Authority ways and parts. And ultimately, Foley was fired as Raw general manager. And that's when, of course, they brought in Kurt Angle, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame that year in 2017. And then, in April of that year, she was written out of the storyline after accidentally being pushed through a table at WrestleMania 33 by Triple H and did not appear on TV for months, but made a one-off appearance after Kevin Owens headbutted her father on the September 12, 2017 edition of SmackDown. McMahon returned
Stop.
to... Oh, yeah. No, you were going to say something?
Um.
Alright.
Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed.
What
We're
just...
fucking
What happened?
the final boss is in Vegas.
Oh, no.
We're screwed. We're screwed. It's over.
No.
It's over.
Eh... Dodo. No, 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 no. Well, where were we? So McMahon returned on the October 30th, 2017 edition of Raw, confronting Kurt Angle regarding Shane and the SmackDown roster's attack on the Raw roster at the end of the week's previous Raw, named him team captain for Raw at Survivor Series, and if Raw was not victorious over SmackDown at the pay-per-view, she would fire him. December 18th episode of Raw. After the six-woman tag match of Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Mickie James against Absolution, Paige, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. Remember that shit? Ended in a DQ and a brawl ensured with the rest of the Raw women's roster. Stephanie came out and the brawl stopped. And she recapped the leaps that women's wrestling had taken the past few years, going from revolution to evolution of women's wrestling, including the first ever women's Hell in a Cell, first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which ended in a terrible finish, and main eventing Raw and SmackDown. So the first ever women's Royal Rumble match in 2018 was born. Now, Stephanie's last final in-ring shit. Upon the signing of Ronda Rousey, McMahon embarked on a feud with her, which led to a mixed tag match at WrestleMania 34 against Rousey and Kurt Angle with her husband Triple H as her partner. This was actually her first ever WrestleMania match, believe it or not, and her first match in SummerSlam of 2014 when she beat Brie Bella. Ultimately, she tapped out to Rousey's armbar, and following the loss, Stephanie made sporadic appearances on TV only. She announced Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman at SummerSlam 2018, which was created the stipulation that if Strowman lost in any way, he would lose his Money in the Bank contract to Owens. And she also announced the Evolution pay-per-view for that year. September 24th of that year, she returned as a face when she told Baron Corbin about the lack of leadership he had been doing, and if it doesn't improve, she would bring back Kurt Angle from vacation and return for 1000th episode of SmackDown on Truth TV. November 12, 2018, McMahon returned to rally Team Raw at Survivor Series and confronted Braun Strowman to make the business proposition that if Team Raw was victorious, he would have a match with Baron Corbin and Universal Championship rematch against he who I will not name right now. Then, in April 15, 2019 episode of Raw, she turned heel once again, supporting Shane's actions against the Miz's father, telling fans Kurt Angle had his last match, told him to get over it, insulted the Montreal crowd, and fucked that shit. Then she was a more neutral character when it appeared even more sporadically, announcing draft picks during the 2019 WWE Draft, introduced the live broadcast of WrestleMania 36. Then on May 19th, 2022, she took a leave of absence from the company, wanting to spend time with her family. She was then announced as the interim chairwoman and CEO on June 17th, 2002, by the board of directors following an investigation by the board of directors into allegations of sexual misconduct toward her father, Vince. And then she was permanently appointed permanent chairwoman of WWE 1 month later when Vince stepped down, returned on the following episode of SmackDown to thank the fans for their support on social media. But then she resigned on January 10th, 2023 when the old bastard came back. At WrestleMania 40, she made an unannounced return at the start of the show on night 2 to welcome all fans in attendance. That was her first appearance since her father's resignation as chairman of the newly formed TKO Group Holdings, formed by the merger of WWE and UFC in 2023, amidst all the controversial sex trafficking scandal involving former WWE employee Janelle Grant. She announced the draft picks during the 2024 WWE Draft in late April of that year. At SummerSlam in August of 2024, she was in attendance amongst the fans at ringside. In the post-event press conference, Triple H confirmed she's not in a position within the company, but does not rule out a return. And she was in attendance at Evolution 2025 with Joe Tessitore, as Joe Tessitore's co-host for the event. Which finally leads us to this. At WrestlePalooza 2025, Undertaker announced her as the first inductee into the Hall of Fame for this year. Yeah, on screen, off screen, Stephanie McMahon's done a lot. She's earned her place,
Also,
and we still have a long way to go.
she just recently was on Raw. It didn't say she has a segment with Cody Rhodes recently on
Oh,
Raw.
yeah, the dreaded slap. Alright, Dean, what's your favorite Stephanie McMahon moment?
Let me think.
Let the boobies hit the floor.
Let the boobies hit the floor.
Hey, who said that?
Does that count?
What? I don't know. My favorite. I don't know. Maybe anything with the Authority. I guess. I
couldn't sit through that. I mean, whatever floats your boat, man. Me, yeah, I think I know what one of your siblings was saying there. Overheard me speaking, for what it's worth. Shit, I don't know. I guess anytime she got hers as a heel, like tapping to Ronda's armbar, getting speared by Roman. You know the McMahon's always had to take shit in stride. Heck, even her slap got blocked once by the late Dusty Rhodes, baby. The billion-dollar princess has earned her spot. Now we move on to the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Wow, that was so long here. So,
are we going to his TNA stuff? Or are we just
I feel like we have too much to talk about there. So let's read this off here. Oh yeah, so AJ Styles, two-time WWE champion, one-time Intercontinental champion, three-time US champion, two-time Raw/World Tag Team champion, and one-time Slammy winner. So he bid the universe farewell in his home state of Georgia when the dead man arrived on screen, The Undertaker, and delivered the special news to Styles in front of his family. As a former two-time WWE champion, Grand Slam champion, and an iconic list of rivalries that include the likes of John Cena, Roman Reigns, The Undertaker, and more, Styles takes his rightful place amongst WWE legends. Now, what you may not know is that he actually had a tryout match against Rick Michaels, no relation to Shawn Michaels, on July 9, 2001 for the WWF before that taping of Raw, and he won with a shooting star press but was not offered a contract. Styles made two more appearances for the WWF in 2002. January 26th episode of Metal, taped on January 21st of that year, losing to the Hurricane, and a dark match before the January 27th episode of SmackDown, taped on January 22nd, defeated by Rico Constantino. And after the match, WWF offered Styles a developmental deal contract, but he'd have to relocate to Cincinnati, where Heartland Wrestling Association developmental territory was located. But Styles declined because, well, his wife, Wendy, yes, they have been married for a long time. They married back in 2000. And basically, it would interfere with his wife's college plans, and I'm guessing she wanted to go something closer that would still allow AJ to do what he does. So, despite that, he wrestled one non-contracted match for HWA on February 19th against Matt Striker in a losing effort. Of course, he had his independent run, Ring of Honor run, TNA run, his New Japan run, but it wasn't until 2016 where he finally came back at the Royal Rumble to WWE. Ultimately, he was offered a blow-away deal by WWE, and him and his Bullet Club stablemates Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson joined. He re-debuted at the Royal Rumble, eliminated Curtis Axel and Tyler Breeze before being eliminated by Kevin Owens. Lasted 29 minutes. Well, I wish there was more to actually talk about here, but even the page thing is very limiting here as to who and what is getting inducted here, but oh my god. Why don't we just talk about all his accolades here, shall we? WWE, more specifically. As TNA, we could do something about that and everything else. He was a two-time WWE champion, but when he first won it was the World Championship, and it was renamed that in December 2016 after they introduced the Universal Championship. Excuse me. But yes, he was a two-time champion. His first reign, he won the belt at Backlash 2016, and he defeated Dean Ambrose by pinfall. Yeah, that was his first run, as he had already been on a roll for a certain point. But then it took him a while to go through the belt back, but he won it back on the November 7th episode of SmackDown 2017 in Manchester, England, and had a much longer reign. That first reign lasted 140 days. This one lasted until November 13th, 2018, when he lost to Daniel Bryan on the SmackDown before
Survivor Series.
Yeah, and that's where Daniel Bryan turned heel. He kicked AJ in the Babymaker when the ref wasn't looking, took advantage. That's when he went on his heel run. And yeah, because the year prior, it would have been a rematch between AJ and the Beast Who Shall Not Be Named. But ultimately, yeah, and AJ only won that back in the first place because the modern day Maharaja was the champ at the time, which, yeah, the less said about that, the better. But yeah, AJ had a much longer run with that belt than I thought to a certain point, including even beating Shinsuke way too many times in that very lackluster feud that was utter garbage. Like, straight up, just not good. And yeah, ultimately, and he defeated other people, which is the same. Look, I always liked a lot of his in-work stuff. I think he knew how to balance technical and high-flying right. He's always engaging with a lot of his stuff, and I was mostly only familiar with a lot of his WWE work, but I was there for almost all of it, and I was very happy with what I saw out of him and everything. But yeah, he also won the Intercontinental Championship one time. Hold on, let's open these up. He had won the Intercontinental Championship on the June 8th, 2020 episode of SmackDown, defeating Daniel Bryan in a tournament final for the vacant title. This was not for long, though, as he lost the belt on August 21st, 2020. Yeah. honey, because Jeff Hardy had won the belt. The prior champion to AJ, Sami Zayn, had to vacate the title after electing to refrain from competing during the COVID-19 pandemic, but he claimed to be champion and continued to carry around his copy of the belt after he returned in August of 2020. And ultimately, it was a big ol' horror deal, but yeah, messy, messy, messy. He was also a one-time United States champion as well. I remember this. See, he won the belts. See, he actually won the belt at a WWE live event, beating Kevin Owens on the July 7th, 2017 WWE live event in New York, but lost it to Kevin Owens at Battleground to that year in very shady circumstances. There was some botched shenanigans, and then AJ won it back on the SmackDown 2 days later in Richmond, Virginia, which was a triple threat involving Chris Jericho, who Styles pinned, meaning Kevin Owens did not even need to get pinned to lose the belt. That was also messy as fuck. Okay, he was actually a 3-time U.S. champion. My bad. Because, okay, he got that first run. He got that second run, right? So where's the third? Ah, here's the third. It happened at Extreme Rules 2019. And he defeated Ricochet for it, which seemed like a waste. And again, more AJ getting time over somebody else who could have benefited more. But nowadays, knowing that Ricochet's an asshole, yeah, fuck him. And AJ's run lasted a long time until the November 25th, 2019 edition of Raw, when Rey Mysterio beat him for it. He was also a tag team champion. His first reign was as the Raw tag team champion. Let's see, because he had 2 different people. His first run as Raw tag team champion started at WrestleMania 37, Night 1. Oh, God, hell no. When he teamed with Omos to beat the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And they
no, his name is not Omos. His name is Slow-Mo.
Forget about it. Where even is he? He's not been on TV. Whatever. Ultimately, AJ and Omos lost the belts to RK Bro on August 21st, 2021 at SummerSlam that year, leading their first reign as only 133 days, 132 recognized. His most recent tag team title reign was him and Dragon Lee on the October 20th, 2025 edition of Raw, when he beat the Judgment Day, when he and Dragon Lee beat Finn Balor and JD McDonough of the Judgment Day for, to win the belts, actually. They only lasted 70 days, and they lost to the Usos on the December 29th, 2025 edition of Raw. He's also a 30-second Triple Crown, 15th Grand Slam under the current format, 22nd overall. Won the Intercontinental Championship tournament in 2020, which I'm guessing what's led to his first reign. Undisputed Championship Eliminator Tournament in 2024. And he won a Slammy a Year for Match of the Year versus The Undertaker in a Boneyard match at Mania 36. That was The Undertaker's last ever match. And what a match to go out on. It was actually a lot better than I thought. But yeah, I liked his feuds with John Cena a lot. Let's see. Yeah, I remember desperate to beat up John Cena was the deal. And I couldn't get enough of that shit. But yeah, I liked his feuds with John Cena, Undertaker, and a lot of his other stuff. Yeah, this is well earned. I don't think there's any more I can say that hasn't already been said. What's your favorite AJ Styles moment, Dean? Preferably from his WWE run.
I'd like to second WWE Championship reign. I know the Shinsuke stuff was not as great, but I'd like to second WWE Championship reign.
I guess.
If I had to go more recent, that Cena match, man, can we? That Cena
match.
I'll
give you credit for that one. That was some good shit. How could I forget? There's such a memorable moment. His feud with Samoa Joe. How could I forget that? Hey, Wendy. Oh,
Oh,
Wendy! Hey, Wendy, I made you a promise. Daddy won't be coming home, but I'll be your new daddy. Joe was such a savage on the mic. The fact that that man never won the fucking WWE Championship, somebody should be fired and sued for booking malpractice. That was a waste. I just love the psychological games that he would play on AJ as well, getting into his head like that. The man was so good at his job. He really is, actually. But yeah, I really like that moment. I would say, there's one Cena match I'm thinking of. SummerSlam 2016, because that's really what kicked off his initial WWE title run. I did like this TLC match with Ambrose from that year, and infamously he ripped his pants. Oh man. Yeah, I mean what more can I say? AJ has absolutely earned this place in wrestling history. He really, really has.
Charles is one of the goats.
Absolutely. He is one of the greatest of all time. He's one of my personal favorite wrestlers of all time. Like, I would definitely put him in my top 10. Maybe even
I put
crack
him.
the top 5.
This might be a hot take. I put AJ over Sean any day of the week. I know. I
That's
know.
debatable. That is debatable. But, yeah, AJ Styles has absolutely earned his place in the Hall of Fame. Now, here's an induction that has been long, long overdue. For a long time, yes, Demolition. For a long time, many, many people have been asking, when's Demolition going in? When are they going in here? When the hell are they going in? And for years, because of their involvement in the whole concussion, lawsuit and shit, when they were in the, that, which was ultimately dismissed.
And also, before you continue, 2K26 put them in the latest DLC.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah, Ringside Pass Season 2. But yeah. What more can I really even say? Like, they were a team from very well before my time, but I do understand their prominence in the late 80s and the early 90s. Demolition, Axe and Smash, real names William Eadie and Barry Darsow. The original Smash actually was, what's his name? Hold on, I'm trying to see, yeah. Randy Colley, who you also may better know as Moondog Rex. He was the one preceding Barry Darsow as Smash. You definitely would recognize Barry Darsow as many other characters, mainly infamously the Repo Man. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Demolition. In the WWF, there were 3-time WWF World Tag Team Champions and hold the record for the most combined days as reigning champions with that specific championship. Yet they ran with that for a long time. Like, they were straight up the third here. Well, by team, technically the first here, if you go on pure amount of combined days, I guess. At the top, it's kind of hard to believe it too, but yeah. So, let's see. One of the greatest tag teams of all time will make history once again as Axe and Smash of Demolition enter the Hall of Fame as members of the class of 2026. Announced once again by The Undertaker, who I guess is sort of the bearer of this stuff, if you will. 2 words describe the ultimate goal of Demolition: pain and destruction. Clad in black leather and spikes, Axe and Smash steamrolled into WWE from parts unknown in the late 1980s and made it painfully clear they were going to demolish any team that stood in their path. They bulldozed through the tag division and captured the World Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 4, starting one of the most iconic title runs in history. Axe and Smash dominated as champions for the next 478 days, a record that stood for 28 years, until it was surpassed by the New Day's 484-day tenure in 2015 to 2016. Synonymous with tag team greatness, Axe and Smash now enter the Hall of Fame where their legacy will live forever. Let me get a drink of water. So their first reign with the World Tag Team Championship is the fourth longest reigning team with any male tag team championship in WWE history, behind Mark Coffey and Wolfgang's reign with the NXT UK Tag Team belt, the New Day's reign with the WWE/Raw Tag Team Championship, and the Usos' reign with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And it's the longest reign on record for that specific championship, which has been defunct since 2010. Yeah, I know many people could call them Road Warrior ripoffs and shit, but you know what? That's not even fair to them. Because I do think Road Warriors were more Mad Max. These guys, I don't know if I quite go that far. But yeah, I don't really have much to say here because these guys were before our time. I wish we had Quiet Jam here to fill in the blanks, but we don't. But I'm not going to deny their significance on tag team wrestling because of all of this and how crucial they were to the WWF for that time period. So I do acknowledge it, and it clearly because people were demanding they go in for so long. I mean, fuck. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. But at the same time, I mean, I do understand to a certain point why. But it still didn't make it any less right. But I'm just glad it's happening now before they pass away. Which, sadly, I can't say the same for our legacy inductees, but we'll get to those in a minute. I take it you don't have a particular noteworthy moment, Dean, because these guys were before your time?
No, really, I can't really say too much.
Well, let's just say that their WrestleMania 4 victory against, who was it here? Against Strikeforce, Rick Martel, and Tito Santana was the peak here, or the real biggest one, because that's where it started. And then they feuded with the Powers of Pain, the Warlord, and the Barbarian. They were, oh yeah! How could I forget? I have a particular other moment I want to mention. They were number 1 and number 2 in the inaugural first Royal Rumble pay-per-view match. Because remember, 88 Royal Rumble was a TV event, a TV special that aired on USA. 1989, which happened in my city, mind you, was actually the first time of an actual Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And Axe and Smash were number 1 and 2. Yes, I remember that one now. How could I forget? That was another good one. And I've watched every major Royal Rumble match. So yeah, that right there is my personal favorite here. They also, let's see. They broke reigns of the Valiant Brothers and the Fabulous Kangaroos. Here was stuff here. They feuded with the Twin Towers, Akeem, and the Big Boss Man. Feuded with the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Yeah, I don't really want to talk so much about the later stuff where they had Crush and all that stuff, but yeah, I guess we can say this is definitely one that's long overdue, and I'm happy they're finally getting their due flowers while they're still with us. Now, we haven't had a celebrity inductee in what feels like forever, so Dennis Rodman, come on down. 5-time NBA champion, wrestled in WCW as a member of the NWO. What more can I say about Dennis Rodman in the world of basketball that hasn't been said? Nicknamed the Worm, known as the bad boy of basketball, played for many teams over the years, most famously the Chicago Bulls. Played for the Pistons, the Spurs, the Bulls, briefly the Lakers and the Mavericks, and yeah, of the NBA. Won so many awards, but was also very notorious for numerous controversial antics, which is why he became the bad boy. Dyed his hair artificial colors, had piercings and tattoos, disrupted games by clashing with opposing players and officials, wore a wedding dress to promote his autobiography, Bad as I Wanna Be, the Dennis Rodman story, which was like a drama TV film. Attracted visits for his international attention for his visits to North Korea and befriending of Kim Jong-un, supreme leader. But we're here to talk about his wrestling career. There's not a heck of a whole lot to get through, so this shouldn't take too long, but let's get to it. Rodman took up his hobby of professional wrestling seriously and appeared on the March 10th, 1997 edition of Monday Nitro with Hollywood Hulk Hogan in WCW. At 1997 Uncensored in March, he appeared as a member of the NWO. His first match was at Bash at the Beach in July of 1997, and he teamed with Hogan in a loss to Lex Luger and the Giant. At the August 1997 Road Wild event, Rodman appeared as the Imposter Sting, hitting Lex Luger with a baseball bat to help Hogan win the World Heavyweight Championship. After the 1997 to 1998 season, where Rodman and the Bulls defeated Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz in the 1998 NBA Finals, Rodman and Malone squared off once again in a tag team match at Bash at the Beach in July of 1998. He fought alongside Hogan, and Malone tagged alongside Diamond Dallas Page. The match was not particularly very well received from what I've heard. I've never watched it, but it seems here to be pretty bad. The two power forwards exchanged rudimentary headlocks, slams, and clotheslines for 23 minutes. And Rodman bested Malone again after he and Hogan picked up the win. And Rodman returned to WCW in 1999 to feud it with Randy Savage, and they culminated in a match at Road Wild, which Rodman lost. And that was the end of his WCW stuff, but that wasn't the end of Rodman and wrestling in general. July 30th, 2000, he competed on an iGeneration Superstar of Wrestling pay-per-view event and fought against iGeneration champ Curt Hennig in an Australian Outback match. Hennig won by disqualification. And then basically that's when Dennis Rodman first retired after that loss. But he wasn't done just yet. No, 8 years later, he came out of wrestling retirement to appear as a contestant on Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling, broadcast on CMT. If you don't remember, and I don't blame you, this was a reality TV show that aired from October 18th to December 6, 2008 on country music television. It featured celebrities being trained to become a professional wrestler. And the other people he competed with are Todd Bridges of Different Strokes fame, Trishelle Canatella of Real World fame, and I know she had actually teamed with The Miz in the, I believe, reality edition of episode of Fear Factor, Dustin Diamond of Saved by the Bell fame, Danny Bonaducci, Eric Esch, Aaron Murphy, and Dennis Rodman was there, obviously, competing against Frank Stallone, Tiffany Darwish, and Nikki Zering. Ultimately, at the end of the whole thing, long story short, Dennis Rodman basically won here as he was going against Mr. Not So Perfect, if you will, here. If I could remember who was who, because I didn't watch this shit, but I bet you Wrestling with Regret has a video. Yeah, aka Todd Bridges. And, well, Mean Bean, aka Butterbean, aka Eric Esch. Oh, that's who. Now I remember. Yeah, he is the one who basically destroyed Bart Gunn. So yeah, Rodman won, basically, at the end of the day. Or did I get it right as to who is who? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that happened. That was a thing. That was his second retirement, but he did make an appearance on the September 2nd episode of AEW Collision. Confronted by Jet Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh. Remember when those jokers were like appearing way too much on TV and all together? Yeah, what a waste. And he aligned himself with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn and accompanied him to the ring a following night during All Out in September of 2023. And well, hold on a second. What the fuck? I can't even spell my shit right. Oh, wait. All that shit was on the fucking pre-show. But hey, at least Rodman bet it right. I guess you could say out of all the celebrity inductees in the celebrity wing that we've had for the Hall of Fame to a certain degree, let's see. I don't know. Let's compare all the celebrities we've had so far. Because we've had Pete Rose, who's had some appearance, but not much. William the Refrigerator Perry, eh. Bob Uecker, I guess to a certain degree. I actually forgot he was the special ring announcer for Hogan Andre until I watched the full version of that match. Drew Carey, not quite. Mike Tyson, yes. Let's just say the 47th or 45th, however, because I know someone somewhere is going to get frustrated. I guess, in spite of everything that's happened after. Mr. T, yes. Arnold, kind of. Snoop Dogg, debatable. Kid Rock, somewhat, I suppose, given a lot of his music contributions for WWE. William Shatner, probably not. You can probably go back and watch the old one here. Yeah, I would say on the lower end, Shatner. Ozzy Osbourne, God rest his soul. Probably one of the better guest hosts era of Raw, and he did have the WrestleMania 2 appearance. Andy Kaufman is absolutely the most deserving one at the top, even more than Mike Tyson and Mr. T. Muhammad Ali is definitely up there. I guess I put Dennis Rodman somewhere in the middle. A little higher than the middle. I should genuinely rank all of these celebrity wing appearances by who has the most deserving inductee. I think that would be great. Anything to add, Dean, about Dennis Rodman's run in wrestling? Hello, Lolo. Dean? Ah, shit, he's deafened. He can't hear me right now. Oh, fuck. Well, what the hell do I do now? Oh, there you are. You're back?
So I thought something happened. No,
You're
yeah.
fine. Thoughts on Dennis Rodman as a celebrity wing inductee for this year?
I much about him, so yeah.
Let's just go ahead and go on here. You'll know more when we get to the ceremony night. Now, unfortunately, comes the part I hate talking about the most. So, the legacy inductees, because these are people who deserve full inductions, but for whatever reason, this shit is not to be, and this is one of the guys who absolutely deserved a real induction, but never got one in time. He died in 2014, and I'm still pissed. Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, Psycho Sid, real name Sid Udy, two-time WWF champion.
Wait, did you say 2014? Didn't he just die?
No, he died in 2014.
Oh, I thought
Sid Vicious died on August 26, 2024 at the age of 63 of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
maybe my
I gotcha. Well, at least there's enough of a reign here for us to talk about him, so let's go ahead and do that. A former two-time WWE champion, Sid was one of the most imposing and terrifying competitors of his generation whose natural charisma popped off the screen every Monday night. After a successful stint in WCW, Sid debuted as Sid Justice in the WWE and served as special guest referee at SummerSlam 1991, where WWE champion Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior teamed up against the Triangle of Terror in a 3-on-2 handicap match. Later that night, Sid saved Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth from an attack at the evil hands of Jake Roberts and The Undertaker at the couple's iconic newlywed reception. After a few years away from WWE, Sid made his triumphant return to WWE as Psycho Sid. He allied himself with Shawn Michaels and was in his corner at WrestleMania 11 when the Heartbreak Kid challenged Diesel for the WWE title. And that night began an iconic rivalry between the two, with Sid winning the WWE Championship from the Showstopper at Survivor Series 1996, joining the hallowed ranks of champions. After losing the title back to Michaels, Sid became a two-time champion, defeating Bret Hart on the February 7, 1997 edition of Raw. He was one of the bigger and baddest wrestlers in the world. Sid returned to WCW in 1999 and entered the main event scene, battling legends like Hulk Hogan, Steen, Goldberg, Booker T, and many more. We'll let it slide here. In 2001, an injury threatened Sid's career, but he refused to stay on the sidelines and returned to the independent wrestling scene with his return match featuring current WWE superstar Sami Zayn. Sid passed away in 2024, but his influence is still seen in wrestling rings across the world. Known as the Master and the Ruler of the World, Sid's reputation as one of the toughest and most visually captivating superstars cemented his legacy in WWE, and he will now take his rightful place among his fellow legends in the WWE Hall of Fame. So, any favorite moments or whatever, Dean? I know again he was a little before, but you might be familiar with some stuff. Excuse me.
Didn't he beat Shawn Michaels for the belt? You said?
Yeah.
The clip. Oh, seen the match. I think I might have seen the match.
Well, then I guess you
Look
can...
like
Hold on.
something when he beat Shawn Michaels. I'll give it one simple,
There
easy.
you go. There you go. I think so. Let me look. Yeah, it was at Survivor Series 1996 when he beat Shawn Michaels. Favorite moment of Sid? Actually, it was a little botch in WCW. Remember half the brain that you do? Ah, oh, man, you probably had a laugh about that. Yeah, but this just sucks. I'm happy he's going in, but as a legacy inductee, I feel like he's more than deserving of more than that wing. But I don't know. Our next guy, Bad News Brown, another legacy inductee, but he died much sooner. 1976 Olympic bronze medalist, two-time Pan American Games gold medalist, 1967 and 1975, and a four-time Stampede Wrestling North American Heavyweight Championship. See, more of his stuff was done a little outside of WWF. He had a run there for like a year from 78 to 79 and came back from 88 to 90 before winding his career down. WWF legend Bad News Brown will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a legacy inductee and member of the class of 2026. Hold on, there is a clip I'm going to play here in just a little bit, and some of you probably already know where this shit's going here, but we'll get to that in a minute. Starting in the squared circle, after winning the bronze medal in judo at the 1976 Olympics, Brown combined his grappling expertise with vicious brawling techniques he picked up on the mean streets of his hometown in Harlem, New York, to become one of the sport's entertainment's most feared competitors. After tearing through future WWE legends like Bret Hart at Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, Alberta, Bad News made his way to the WWE in 1988, which he was there sooner, but never mind that. Made an instant impact, knocking out opponent after opponent with a devastating enziguri. So if you know why that move's so popular nowadays, you can thank him. Bad News preferred to keep to himself, making no friends. Even the most evil of WWE superstars could warm up to Brown. At several Survivor Series events, the Harlem native opted to walk out on his team rather than work as part of a unit. Brown demanded title opportunities, deriding the beer-bellied sharecroppers and spineless cockroaches he claimed were holding him back. Bad News went as far as to accuse then WWE President Jack Tunney of colluding with stars like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, putting his hands on esteemed officials when he denied the claims. Bad News soon focused his attention on the unpredictable superstar Rowdy Roddy Piper after the Hot Scott eliminated him from the 1990 Royal Rumble match. Brown climbed back to the ring apron and forced Piper over the top rope and out of the fray, setting off a brawl no WWE official could halt. During the summer of 1990, the fans learned there was one thing that scared the hardened New Yorker: snakes. You can imagine who came in next. So Jake Roberts actually surprised Bad News with a birthday gift of the reptilian variety, spooking the surly superstar. Looking for a way to combat Roberts and his dangerous python, Damien, Brown went back to his roots, searched for the meanest, nastiest creature in Harlem, who had to go underground to find him, scrounging through subway tunnels to find the biggest sewer rats raised in the Big Apple. Though he trained the rodents to feast on snakes, they couldn't help him much in the ring against Roberts at SummerSlam 1990. And after his defeat at the hands of the Snake, Bad News Brown disappeared from WWE and passed away in 2007. Boy, that was a bad year for wrestler deaths. But his legacy lives on as his fellow legends welcome him into the WWE Hall of Fame. Again, I guess you could see his influence later on, and I guess because he's a bit more older, it's still, kind of makes sense, but at the same time, whatever. I'm guessing you don't have much more to say here, Dean, since he was way before our time.
Yeah,
I know, dude, I know. Oh, before we go on to the last bit of the other moment, the Immortal moment, which we can definitely talk about properly since we watched it, I do have one clip I want to play about Bad News Brown that I'll always think of when I hear his name. Just wait for it. Wait for it.
It looks like someone took a big ass shit and made the Bad News Brown.
What, you didn't think I wasn't going to use that Tourette's guy clip, now did you? Oh, come on. Anyone who knows me knows. I say time and time again, there's always a Tourette's guy quote for every occasion. And with that, it's time to end it with this year's Immortal Moment inductee. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. My guess is because of the controversy from this one. And that's not the controversy, but Hogan himself, even when he was still alive, was half the reason why this was not the initial inductee. Because that was Bret Hart and Stone Cold from WrestleMania. Was it Mania 13, I believe. Yeah, that was the initial Immortal Moment inductee. And to be honest, of the two matches, that is the better match here. Because I actually watched this one today. I know, procrastination, but what can I do? I think the build for the match was honestly more exciting than the actual match itself. Now, I'm not going to deny the impact of this event here. Let's kind of recap the build-up and the other stuff itself. So, the main feud stemmed from Andre the Giant's heel turn. This whole thing stemmed from that. On the betrayal of his friend, the WWF World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan, which began on an episode of Piper's Pit, when WWF President Jack Tunney presented Hogan with a trophy for being the World Heavyweight Champion for 3 years. Andre, Hogan's good friend, came out to congratulate him, but cryptically remarked, 3 years to champion. It's a long time. I can't do a proper Andre voice. Take your hand off my shoulders. Oh, speaking French. I'm here for one reason. 3 years to be champion is a long time. Then a week later, on another episode of Piper's Pit, Tony presented Andre with a visibly smaller trophy for being undefeated in the WWF for 15 years, and Hogan came out to congratulate Andre. Before the Giant could speak, Hogan ended up being the focal point of the interview. Annoyed by this, Andre stormed out of Hogan's congratulations speech. A week later, on yet another Piper's Pit segment on the Superstars, Jesse Ventura hinted he knew something about Andre, but wasn't telling. This infuriated Piper, and the two nearly came to blows before Ventura asserted that he could produce Andre next week, asking Piper, "Can you produce Hogan?" Piper agreed, and he asked Piper, "Can you produce Hogan?" Piper agreed and nervously asked Hogan later on, who agreed. The following week, Hogan was on Piper's Pit first when Andre walked out with Bobby Heenan, a longtime adversary of Hogan and Andre. Heenan announced himself to be Andre's new manager. Andre then challenged Hogan to a title at WrestleMania 3 and attacked Hogan, ripping off his shirt and crucifix necklace, which led to the "You're bleeding. You're bleeding." Like, literally, Roddy Piper told him that. Anyways, on to the actual match. The build-up for this was insane because nothing like it had ever been seen to this point. Like, nothing. And considering all of this, it was a big deal to see Andre turn heel back in the day. And this and everything, the build was exciting for the match. It definitely got people hooked. Especially at the end when Piper asks Hogan, "Tell me yes or no. Are you or are you not going to wrestle Andre the Giant for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania?" And Hogan's like, "Yes!" That the crowd's cheering. And this was basically billed as the biggest main event in the history of the sport up to this point. This was the main event of WrestleMania 3. Howard Finkel introduced the guest ring announcer, the late Bob Uecker, who in turn introduced the guest timekeeper, Entertainment Tonight host Mary Hart, something that had no significance, but never mind that shit. Fans booed Andre heavily and pelted him and his manager Bobby Heenan with trash as they rode the cart to the ring. In contrast, Hogan, who walked to the ring, came out to a huge ovation. 1 minute into the match, Hogan attempted to body slam Andre, but was unable to lift the Giant and nearly lost when Andre fell on him and almost pinned him early on. This match was actually refereed by Joey Marella, Gorilla Monsoon's late son, who was on commentary with Jesse the Body Ventura. And their commentary was very good for this match, by the way. They were on point. But anyways, after the match had battled back and forth, mostly with Andre standing still while shit Hogan tried didn't work, at one point the two went out of the ring and then they tore up the mat on the outside surrounding the ring, and somebody tried to slam somebody onto the ring, onto the bare concrete, but that failed miserably. Ultimately, Andre gave Hogan an Irish whip into the far side of the ring and tried to hit a big boot on Hogan, but Hogan ducked it and came off the ropes to give Andre a clothesline to take him off his feet for the first time in the match. Hogan then hulked up and scoop slammed the 525-pound, 238-kilogram Giant before hitting the ropes and executing his leg drop
Iconic.
pin to get the win and retain the championship. Yeah.
Look, this match isn't like a 5-star match, but and yes, it got a negative.
That moment, it's like one big build up to the big moment. That's the best way
But
I could describe it.
The wrestling wouldn't be as big as it is if it wasn't that match.
Moment.
Look, there's been worse a match than this.
Yeah. Like I'll say
there's
this
been
about it here. I'll say this about the match. I guess it's more of what you would expect out of two big men who don't really do a lot of high flying stuff. It kind of went about as you would expect. And yeah, but like I said, when the scoop slam happened, the crowd lost their ever loving minds. Like, it is one of the most pivotal matches in the history of the company. And Hogan's body slam on Andre is one of the most iconic moments in both of their careers, if we're being honest, in 80s professional wrestling boom overall. But it wasn't really particularly well received. But I wouldn't go full what Dave Meltzer did with -4 stars and the worst worked match of the year. I don't know what he was expecting. He could expect nothing, and he'll still be let down like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle in that one scene. Meltzer would later increase his rating to 1 out of 5, which again, I think is unfair. It's more like 3 out of 5, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of them are for that one moment. And heck, even in modern retrospectives, haven't been particularly kind to this match as well. 411 Mania's Larry Naka, whatever, gave it 1 star as well, saying it's not good in any way, shape, or form, but I appreciate its historical importance. And Kevin Pandoja, another writer for 411 Mania, gave it 2 stars in 2019, saying, technically it's not good, but I don't think nearly as bad as some people do. Look, obviously, this is not the match of the night for WrestleMania 3. That honor goes to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
Yep,
versus
Steamboat.
Randy Savage.
I was about to say, when this match got inducted, I'm like, the other match, I wish the other match does get inducted. I feel like
I'm sure
other match,
it will. I'm sure eventually it will. Just give it time.
that was a pure wrestling match. That
I
was
probably do
what
need to watch that one next at some point here. Maybe when they induct that, I'll finally watch it. But I do understand that this is a very significant event because it was a big turning point in the company history. So even in spite of the match quality being kind of
By the
average
way,
to below average, I do think it's earned its spot here.
this is WrestleMania 3, right? Yeah, this is
Yes,
WrestleMania 3.
WrestleMania
Okay.
3 from 1987 at the
I was even
Pontiac Silverdome. But yeah, the match itself isn't particularly great, but I do think that moment alone is the reason why it's going and why it's named Immortal Moment, because the Immortal Hulk Hogan, which, like I said, I'm surprised this was not inducted first, considering its name, but I guess given Hogan's passing, they decided to do it now. Which, I mean, hey, it still is a very legendary moment, too. Like I said, in both of their careers, in the company's history, yeah. This match, absolutely. And this actually makes Andre a 2-time inductee because they inducted him first when the Hall of Fame first started in 1993. He was the first ever inductee. And Hogan, of course, was a 2-time inductee, starting in 2005 for his individual career, and 2020 as a member of the NWO. And now this. Yeah, I don't think there's much more we can say.
yeah, because NWO hit himself, and then this. I think,
Yes.
yeah.
And I guess that does it. That's the Hall of Fame class. I would say a decent mix of stuff here, modern and old. I think the big thing is the induction of Demolition, the best because it's long overdue. And yeah, that covers it. I don't think we have anything else to add, so we'll just wrap it up there. Tune in tomorrow when we will talk about WrestleMania itself. So thank you, Dean, as always, for being here with me. And I guess
Like
I'll see you
always.
tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see more people tomorrow. So
Yeah.
until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Thank y'all for watching. Goodbye. Please be kind to each other. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same channel, same everything. Alright?
Yeah.
Alright. I will see y'all then. So take care, everybody. And we'll